The FBI are allegedly deleting Jeffrey Epstein records. A whistleblower has recently come forward with shocking allegations that the FBI is systematically deleting records linked to high-profile cases, including those related to Epstein. This revelation has sent waves through the political and legal communities, raising concerns about transparency, accountability, and potential corruption within the agency. According to the whistleblower, these deletions are not accidental, but part of a deliberate effort to obstruct ongoing investigations and shield powerful individuals from scrutiny. The whistleblower claims that among the documents being erased are crucial files connected to Epstein, the disgraced financier whose extensive network allegedly involved many high-profile figures. His mysterious demise in 2019 left many questions unanswered, and despite public outcry, the full extent of his connections has never been fully disclosed. If true, the allegations suggest that the FBI is actively working to erase any trace of evidence that could implicate powerful individuals tied to Epstein's operation. This raises troubling questions about whether key figures involved in his trafficking ring are being protected. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, two figures known for their outspoken stance against government corruption, have been drawn into the controversy. Patel has accused the FBI of political bias and has previously called for greater transparency within intelligence agencies. Bongino, a former Secret Service agent and conservative commentator, has spent years discussing alleged deep state activities. Their recent appointments to leadership roles within the FBI have only heightened tensions, as they now find themselves overseeing an agency accused of deleting critical evidence. Legal experts warn that if these allegations prove to be true, the implications could be severe. The destruction of evidence related to Epstein and other high-profile cases could lead to charges of obstruction of justice for those involved. Federal laws strictly prohibit the willful deletion or destruction of evidence in an ongoing investigation, and such actions could result in significant legal consequences for individuals within the FBI. If proven, this scandal could shake public confidence in the agency and deepen concerns about the integrity of federal investigations. The FBI has yet to publicly respond to these allegations, further fueling speculation about the potential cover-up. Many observers are calling for an independent investigation into the agency's handling of sensitive case files. Transparency advocates argue that the public deserves to know the truth about what happened to Epstein's records and whether there has been a deliberate effort to conceal information from the public. Some have even suggested that congressional hearings may be necessary to get to the bottom of the matter. As this situation continues to unfold, attention is turning to how Patel and Bongino will address these claims. Their response will likely determine the next steps in any investigation and whether those responsible for allegedly destroying evidence will be held accountable. The controversy surrounding the FBI's handling of Epstein-related records is not just about one case. It is about the broader issue of whether federal agencies are truly serving justice or working to protect certain individuals from it. Ronnie Hill's mysterious photograph. In July 1967, a young boy named Ronnie Hill captured what is now considered one of the most mysterious and compelling UFO photographs in history. At just 14 years old, Ronnie was living in Pamlico County, North Carolina, when he witnessed an unusual event that would leave a lasting mark on UFO research. His photograph, taken in an era when photo manipulation was far more difficult than it is today, remains one of the few pieces of tangible evidence of extraterrestrial encounters. Despite its significance, the case is not well known, even among dedicated UFO researchers. According to Ronnie Hill, the incident began when he noticed a strange spherical object descending near his home. The craft was metallic, smooth, and egg-shaped, a form that has been repeatedly described in UFO sightings over the years. It emitted a strange and overpowering odor that made the air around it feel thick and unbreathable. The craft landed quietly, without any visible signs of propulsion, exhaust, or noise, an aspect that has puzzled skeptics and believers alike. As Ronnie watched in awe, a small humanoid figure emerged from the craft. The entity that stepped out of the UFO was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was short in stature and dressed in a metallic silver suit. The figure moved with a sense of purpose, seemingly engaged in some unknown task, before quickly retreating into the craft. Without warning, the object lifted off and disappeared into the sky. The entire event unfolded within moments. but Ronnie managed to snap a single photograph of the encounter. The image, though grainy and taken under less than ideal conditions, clearly shows a small humanoid figure standing in front of an egg-shaped craft. What makes Ronnie Hill's photograph particularly intriguing is the consistency of its details with other UFO sightings. Over the years, many reports have described egg-shaped UFOs that appear to lack any visible means of flight. They often hover soundlessly, maneuvering in ways that defy modern aviation technology. These objects are typically metallic and seamless, with no visible engines, exhaust, or rotors. The descriptions match the craft captured in Ronnie's photograph decades ago, lending credibility to his account. Despite the fascinating nature of the image, the story of Ronnie Hill's UFO encounter never gained the widespread attention it deserved. In an era before the internet, when UFO reports were often dismissed outright, his photograph remained a relatively obscure piece of evidence. Even within UFO research circles, the case is rarely discussed, overshadowed by more famous encounters. However, those who have examined the image closely argue that it is one of the most authentic photographic pieces of UFO evidence ever captured. Some have attempted to dismiss the photograph, suggesting it could be the result of a hoax or an elaborate misunderstanding. However, given that Ronnie was only 14 years old at the time, the likelihood of him fabricating such an event, especially in an era without advanced photo editing tools, remains slim. There were no known UFO hoaxes in the area at the time, and no records suggest that Ronnie or his family sought fame or monetary gain from the incident. The details of his encounter align eerily well with reports that would emerge decades later, further strengthening the case for its authenticity. The significance of the Ronnie Hill photograph continues to grow as modern UFO reports increasingly reference egg-shaped crafts. With recent government disclosures and declassified military encounters confirming the presence of unidentified aerial phenomena, many researchers are revisiting older cases to find patterns and similarities. Ronnie's case stands out not only because of its compelling image, but also because it predates modern discussions of UAPs by several decades. Even after more than 50 years, the mystery surrounding the photograph remains unsolved. The mysterious night of the grizzlies. Glacier National Park in Montana, a place of breathtaking natural beauty, had never experienced a fatal bear attack in its 57-year history until the tragic night of August 12, 1967. That night, in an eerie and unsettling coincidence, two separate bear attacks occurred just hours apart and 8 miles from each other, claiming the lives of 2 young women. The mystery of why these attacks happened continues to intrigue park rangers, wildlife experts, and historians to this day. By 1967, Glacier National Park had become a popular destination, drawing nearly 1 million visitors each year. The park's stunning mountain peaks, crystal-clear lakes, and vast wilderness made it a haven for campers and hikers. Over the decades, the bears in the area had become accustomed to human presence, leading to increasing interactions between people and wildlife. A growing issue was the abundance of food scraps and garbage left around campsites, which attracted bears to human-occupied areas. Due to staffing shortages and a lack of proper waste management protocols, the situation had worsened significantly in the years leading up to the attacks. On the night of August 12th, a storm rolled through the park, illuminating the sky with flashes of lightning. At the Granite Park Chalet, Julie Helgeson and her boyfriend, Roy Duckett, set up their tent just a short distance from the popular lodge. Around midnight, the couple sensed a bear nearby, but before they could react, it attacked their tent. Roy managed to escape with severe injuries, but Julie was dragged 400 feet into the woods. Rescuers eventually found her alive, but her injuries were too severe, and she died shortly after being brought to help. Meanwhile, at Trout Lake, another group of campers, including 19-year-old Michelle Coons, had settled in for the night. In the early morning hours, a bear began sniffing around their tents. Moments later, it attacked, choosing Michelle's tent. She attempted to escape, but the zipper jammed, trapping her inside. The bear dragged her 300 feet into the woods as her terrified friends climbed trees for safety. Her companions could do nothing but listen to her screams before she was silenced. They were forced to wait hours before they could descend and seek help. The tragic news of the attacks sent shockwaves through the park and beyond. Rangers quickly mobilized to hunt down the responsible bears. In the days that followed, they took out several bears in the area, including an emaciated grizzly with glass shards embedded in its mouth, which was identified as Michelle's killer. Another bear, a sow with blood on her paws, was believed to be responsible for Julie's death. The realization that two different bears had committed these attacks made the events even more chilling. The question remains, why did these attacks happen on the same night? Some have speculated that the storm and lightning may have played a role in startling the bears, making them more aggressive than usual. However, storms were not uncommon in the park, and bears had never displayed such violent behavior in response before. Others point to the growing problem of bears associating humans with food. With the lack of proper garbage disposal methods, bears had grown increasingly bold in approaching campsites, making attacks like these more likely. Another unsettling theory suggests that the bears had been conditioned to scavenge from humans due to years of park visitors improperly storing food and leaving waste exposed. As the bears became bolder in seeking food, they may have lost their natural fear of humans, leading to a dangerous escalation. The bear responsible for Michelle's death was found in a severely malnourished state, suggesting it had become desperate and aggressive due to hunger. The 1967 Glacier National Park bear attacks forced a dramatic shift in how national parks managed human-wildlife interactions. New policies were introduced, including strict garbage disposal regulations, bear-proof food storage requirements, and increased public education on bear safety. Rangers also implemented a stronger stance on keeping bears and humans separate, reinforcing the idea that wild animals should not associate people with easy food sources. Despite these measures, the events of that fateful night remain an unsettling reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wilderness. The fact that Glacier National Park had never seen a fatal bear attack before, and then suddenly experienced two in a single night, is something that continues to baffle experts. Whether it was the result of a perfect storm of environmental factors, human negligence in waste management, or simply a tragic coincidence, the deaths of Julie Helgeson and Michelle Coons changed the way people viewed the relationship between humans and wildlife in national parks. More than 50 years later, the mystery still lingers. The events of that night remain one of the most infamous incidents in the park's history, a chilling reminder that nature, for all its beauty, can also be unpredictable and deadly. Whether due to desperation, conditioning, or an unexplained phenomenon, the bears that night acted in a way never seen before and have not since. Mysterious object seen above Lewisburg. In September 2022, a remarkable UFO sighting took place in Lewisburg, where an eyewitness managed to capture a photograph of a mysterious V-shaped object in the sky. The individual, who was walking outside with their 14-year-old son, described the object as massive and slowly moving. The experience left them in awe, as they had never seen anything remotely similar before. The sighting quickly became a topic of discussion among UFO researchers and enthusiasts, as it bore a striking resemblance to previous reports of V-shaped unidentified flying objects. According to the eyewitness, the object appeared to float effortlessly through the sky without any visible means of propulsion. Unlike conventional aircraft, it did not produce any sound, nor did it exhibit the typical characteristics of drones or military jets. The most peculiar aspect of the sighting was the object's movement. While it changed direction once, the craft itself never rotated or banked like a traditional aircraft would. Instead, it maintained a steady, consistent position, almost as if it was gliding along an unseen path. The entire object emitted a dull orange glow, adding to its eerie and otherworldly presence. The photograph taken by the eyewitness served as compelling visual evidence of the event. While skeptics suggested it could be an experimental military craft or a natural atmospheric phenomenon, others pointed to the long history of V-shaped UFO sightings reported worldwide. The famous Phoenix Lights incident of 1997 is perhaps the most well-known case, where thousands of residents in Arizona witnessed a massive, silent, V-shaped formation of lights moving across the sky. Similarly, reports of similar triangular or boomerang-shaped UFOs have surfaced for decades, often described as enormous, silent, and possessing unusual lighting patterns. What makes the Lewisburg sighting particularly interesting is the consistency between the witness's description and other documented cases. The lack of any visible propulsion system, the silent movement, and the strange luminescence all align with previous reports of V-shaped UFOs. Furthermore, the way the object changed direction without physically turning adds another layer of mystery, as it suggests an advanced form of aerial maneuverability that defies the laws of known physics. Some researchers have speculated that sightings like this could be linked to classified military technology. Over the years, speculation has grown that governments around the world have developed highly advanced aircraft capable of near-silent flight and unconventional movement patterns. However, there has never been official confirmation of such technology, leaving room for alternative explanations. The Lewisburg sighting remains unexplained, adding to the growing body of evidence suggesting that something extraordinary is taking place in our skies. Whether it was an experimental craft, an optical illusion, or something not of this world, the photograph captured in September 2022 stands as a fascinating piece of UFO history. Until more concrete explanations emerge, this case will remain an intriguing mystery, reinforcing the belief that there is much about our world and beyond that we have yet to understand. Mysterious apparition captured in photograph. A chilling photograph has recently surfaced online, showing 5 women enjoying a seemingly ordinary moment in a bath. The image, at first glance, appears light-hearted, capturing a group of friends smiling and posing for the camera. However, upon closer examination, an unsettling detail emerges in the background. In the window behind them, a dark, shadowy apparition can be seen, its features twisted into what many describe as a demonic face. The eerie presence in the photograph has led to widespread speculation that the location where the image was taken may be haunted. Some viewers claim that they can clearly make out hollow eyes, an elongated face, and an expression of malice in the mysterious figure. Others believe that the distortion could be a trick of the light or an illusion created by reflections. Regardless, the image has sparked debate among paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics alike. Adding to the mystery, very little information has been released about the circumstances surrounding the photo. The exact location remains unknown, and the individuals in the image have not come forward with further details. This lack of context has only fueled curiosity, leaving many to wonder whether the photograph is a genuine capture of something supernatural or an elaborate hoax designed to stir speculation. Theories surrounding the apparition range from the idea that it is a restless spirit trapped in the location to the possibility of something far more sinister. Some have even suggested that whatever was captured in the window may have been watching the women the entire time. Without additional information, the truth behind the haunting image remains elusive. Scientists discover a mysterious form of energy in Egypt's pyramids that should only exist in modern times. The Great Pyramid of Giza has long been a source of fascination, shrouded in mystery and wonder. Recent scientific discoveries suggest that this ancient structure may have served a purpose far beyond being a mere tomb for Pharaoh Khufu. Researchers using electromagnetic waves have found evidence that the pyramid may have been designed to focus and amplify energy, a concept that aligns more with modern technology than with what historians have assumed about ancient Egyptian engineering. This revelation challenges long-standing beliefs and raises new questions about the sophistication of the civilization that built it. Scientists from the Information Technologies Mechanics and Optics University in Russia conducted an experiment in which they blasted the Great Pyramid with electromagnetic waves. Their findings revealed that the pyramid's internal structure interacts with these waves in a highly specific manner, focusing the energy into key chambers, including the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and an unfinished chamber beneath the structure. The waves were absorbed and concentrated in these locations, leading researchers to theorize that the pyramid may have functioned as a massive resonator capable of trapping and manipulating electromagnetic energy. One of the most surprising aspects of this discovery is that electromagnetic wave manipulation is a principle typically associated with modern technology. Devices like antennas and waveguides are designed today to harness and direct electromagnetic waves for purposes such as communication, energy transfer, and medical imaging. The idea that an ancient civilization could have built a structure that exhibits similar properties is both perplexing and groundbreaking. It suggests that the ancient Egyptians may have possessed knowledge of energy manipulation that historians have not yet fully understood. Retired aerospace engineer Christopher Dunn, who has spent decades analyzing the pyramids, has long proposed the idea that the Great Pyramid was more than just a tomb. He theorizes that the structure was a highly sophisticated energy generator. Dunn has pointed out that the northern shaft of the pyramid resembles a waveguide, a structure used in modern technology to direct microwaves and electromagnetic energy. According to his research, two chemicals may have been introduced into the pyramid's internal chambers, where they mixed to produce hydrogen gas. This reaction, he suggests, could have been used to generate clean energy. While there is no direct archaeological evidence supporting this hypothesis, recent scientific discoveries regarding the pyramid's energy-focusing properties provide compelling support for the idea that the structure was designed with a greater purpose in mind. The study's findings suggest that the pyramid's design was not coincidental. When researchers simulated the interaction of electromagnetic waves with the pyramid, they discovered that its shape and material composition created what is known as multipole resonances. These are specific patterns of electromagnetic activity that depend on the shape and composition of an object. The results indicate that the pyramid's architecture was deliberately crafted to harness these resonances, allowing it to focus electromagnetic energy in key locations. The precision of this design is remarkable, as it suggests an advanced understanding of wave dynamics. Another factor that adds to the mystery is the location of the pyramid itself. It is positioned on a limestone plateau, a material known for its ability to conduct and store energy. This raises the possibility that the pyramid's placement was intentional, allowing it to function as an energy hub. The limestone may have helped enhance its energy-focusing capabilities, providing further evidence that the structure was not simply a burial site, but a carefully engineered monument with a yet-to-be-determined function. If the Great Pyramid was indeed designed to manipulate electromagnetic energy, the implications are profound. It would suggest that the ancient Egyptians had an understanding of energy transmission that rivals modern discoveries. The ability to generate and direct energy on such a scale would have required knowledge of physics, engineering, and material sciences far beyond what traditional archaeology attributes to ancient civilizations. The absence of records detailing such technological advancements only deepens the mystery. This discovery also raises questions about whether similar energy manipulation techniques were used in other ancient structures around the world. Many pyramidal structures exist in different civilizations, from Mesoamerica to Asia, and some researchers speculate that they may share common design principles related to energy transmission. The idea that ancient civilizations might have had access to forms of clean energy that modern science is only beginning to understand is both exciting and controversial. The mystery surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza continues to deepen with each new scientific study. While the mainstream view still considers it a tomb, the latest discoveries suggest that it may have had a far more complex function. Whether it was a power plant, a communication device, or something else entirely, its ability to interact with electromagnetic energy remains a phenomenon that cannot be ignored. As researchers continue to probe the secrets hidden within this ancient wonder, one thing is clear. The true purpose of the Great Pyramid may be far more advanced than history has ever acknowledged. The mysterious disappearance of Sherry Elizabeth Roach. Sherry Elizabeth Roach, a 17-year-old girl from San Mateo, California, mysteriously vanished on June 8, 1976, after leaving her group home, Pedregal House, to commute to work in San Francisco. While Sherry had a history of running away, this disappearance was different. She had always contacted her family in the past, but this time, she simply vanished without a trace. The unusual nature of her disappearance left her family and investigators baffled, and nearly 5 decades later, her case remains unsolved. On the day she disappeared, Sherry was last seen heading toward a bus that would take her to work in San Francisco. However, she never arrived at her job, and she was never seen again. The timeline of her disappearance has been debated, with some reports stating June 1st as her last seen date, but most official sources, including the Charlie Project and the National Center for Missing Children, confirm that June 8th is the correct date. This discrepancy may have been caused by reporting delays or administrative errors, but regardless of the exact date, her sudden disappearance raised immediate concerns. When Sherry failed to return home that evening, A counselor at Pedregal House reported her missing to the San Mateo Police Department. Early investigations focused on the possibility that she had chosen to run away again, but this theory did not hold up. Her family, especially her brother, insisted that she would have reached out to them if she had voluntarily left. Unlike previous instances when she ran away, this time she made no attempt to contact anyone. Investigators also explored whether Sherry may have encountered trouble while hitchhiking, a common practice for young people in the 1970s. However, no credible sightings of her ever emerged. One of the most significant obstacles in the investigation was the lack of dental records, making it difficult to compare her case with unidentified remains. Over the years, law enforcement followed multiple leads, but none led to any concrete answers. As time passed, the lack of physical evidence and witness testimonies left her case at a standstill. In 2020, a new lead emerged when authorities released a photograph of an unidentified African-American man who had been seen with Sherry before she disappeared. The man, believed to be in his 20s at the time, was pictured with his arm draped around Sherry's shoulder. Investigators have classified him as a person of interest, not a suspect, but they believe he may have crucial information about what happened to her. Despite appeals to the public for help in identifying him, his identity and his relationship to Sherry remain unknown. The release of this photograph suggests that authorities believe he played a significant role in the events leading up to her disappearance. Another theory investigators have considered is the possibility that Sherry fell victim to a serial predator. The 1970s saw numerous cases of missing women in California, and some law enforcement officials have speculated that she could have been targeted by an unidentified perpetrator operating at the time. However, without forensic evidence or witness accounts, this remains speculation. For Sherry's family, the pain of her disappearance has never faded. Her brother and mother have continued to hold on to hope that answers will one day come to light. The lack of closure has made the years especially difficult, as they have been left to wonder about her fate. Despite the decades that have passed, the case remains open, and law enforcement continues to encourage anyone with information to come forward. The mystery of Sherry Elizabeth Roach's disappearance is one of many cases from the 1970s that remain unsolved. The fact that she vanished without a trace, with no financial activity, no personal belongings left behind, and no confirmed sightings, makes her case particularly haunting. The unanswered questions continue to weigh heavily on her loved ones, who still seek justice and resolution. While advancements in forensic science and new investigative techniques have helped solve many cold cases, Sherry's case remains unresolved. The release of the photograph in 2020 was a sign that authorities had not given up, and it provided a glimmer of hope that new information could surface. However, until the unidentified man is located or new evidence emerges, the fate of Sherry Elizabeth Roach will remain one of California's most enduring mysteries. A NASA employee suddenly vanishes. Back on the 17th of June 2016, a man by the name of Floyd Roberts III had gone on a hiking trip with a longtime friend of his, Ned Bryant, and his friend's daughter, Madeline Bryant. After several hours of hiking together, however, Floyd suddenly disappeared from the group. As the weeks went on and the investigation into the matter was never resolved, many began to wonder what exactly happened to Floyd Roberts within the very short span of time that he had wandered away from his group. According to Ned Bryant, he and Floyd had been lifelong friends since they were 10 years old, when they first met each other back in Princeton, New Jersey. Their friendship was so close that many would often think that Ned and Floyd were actually brothers. Their friendship would even coalesce and maintain throughout their entire lives, with Floyd Roberts serving as Ned's best man during his wedding several years prior. Unfortunately, due to work requirements and job opportunities, the two men were unable to live close to each other, with Floyd Roberts eventually moving out to the city of Huntsville, Alabama, where he spent a short period of time working as a software engineer for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. After a short time of working for NASA, Floyd Roberts moved once more to work as a computer programming and game design teacher at Middleton High School, located in Treasure Island, Florida. Throughout this time, however, Floyd and Ned decided to stay close friends and would meet up regularly to do an activity together. It was back in 1992 when Floyd and Ned decided that they would start hiking around the Grand Canyon a few times a year, as it would be a fun activity for them to both do, that would also allow them to take a break from their lives momentarily and get some much-needed exercise. These routine hiking trips would continue for over the next 20 years together, where the two men became highly experienced campers and hikers, familiar with the Grand Canyon as it was their only hiking route. Even more interesting, the two men were so interested in hiking that they would often travel alone in their free time whenever the other was unable to join, showing that both men had experience navigating the known pathways of the area even when isolated and on their own. Several years later, Ned Bryant and a few other members of his family became board members of the Grand Canyon Hikers and Backpackers Association, often sharing tips with each other on the best pathways and means of travel throughout the area, and having been trained in travel safety when hiking through isolated parts of the Grand Canyon. Confident that the two would be perfectly safe during their journey, the men planned to take one of their longest hiking and camping trips yet, choosing to spend 9 days hiking through the Shivwitz Plateau, a pathway that would lead them out of the area through the Separation Canyon. Although the region was a typically less popular area to travel through, their decided route was considered to have been largely very safe, without any major pitfalls or ravines close to their trails. Additionally, the two men decided that the beginning of the journey would be the most relaxed, and planned on spending the first couple of days camping alongside the major river in the area before making their way out of the canyon. After careful consideration, the two men planned their trip and decided that their hike would end after 9 days on the 26th of June 2016. At the last minute, Ned's daughter, Madeline Bryant, decided to join the group, and so the group decided that the easiest path down towards the river they had wanted to camp beside for a few days was to first reach the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument, when entering from the furthest western portion of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument is considered to be a remote location and terribly underdeveloped, given the lack of tourists that tend to visit the area. According to official park services, there are no known paved roads or laid-out trails leading to the National Monument and no visitor services of any kind. Regardless, the group decided the open area and the lack of tourists would be a perfect staging ground to enter towards the river without the stress of strangers crowding around the area. Once the group was several miles away from the main trailhead of the area, the three travelers found themselves traveling over a large hill. Given Floyd Roberts' preference for a longer traveling time to help take in the scenery, he decided that he would take the slow rounding trail that followed the contours of the hill to reach the trailhead, whereas Madeline and Ned decided that a straight path over the hill would allow them to reach the trailhead faster and give them time to relax and take a quick rest. At around 4:45 in the afternoon, the group separated, with Ned and his daughter taking a straight-line path and Floyd Roberts following the trail that wrapped around the side of the hill. Several minutes later, Ned and Madeline would reach the trailhead and decide to take a short rest, waiting for Floyd Roberts to catch up to them. However, after about 20 minutes of waiting, the two started to worry that something had happened, and immediately began retracing their steps to look for Floyd Roberts, who they assumed must have gotten lost somewhere along the contouring path. After spending several hours looking for Floyd Roberts, the two decided that it was too dark and dangerous for them to continue their search, and so made a campsite near the trailhead meeting spot in the hopes that Floyd Roberts would be able to locate them by their fire. Unfortunately, the two said that it appeared as if Floyd had just completely disappeared, and so Ned and Madeline hiked their way to the nearest area with cell phone reception to report Floyd Roberts as missing. The two reported Floyd Roberts' disappearance at around 3 in the afternoon, Saturday, June 18th. Almost immediately, a team of search and rescue working for the national park started their search for Floyd Roberts, covering a 10-mile radius of where he had last been seen by Ned Bryant and his daughter. The search and rescue originally showed up for the search efforts in high spirits, believing that Roberts would have been recovered quickly, given the fact that the weather in the area did not drop anywhere near freezing temperatures and stayed relatively high throughout the day and night. Additionally, Floyd Roberts had been carrying a week's supply of food and over 2 gallons of water in his backpack at the time of his disappearance, so it was believed that he would have more than enough supplies and years of experience to help him navigate his way towards help, if necessary. Over the next few days, an estimated 15 people were involved with the search and rescue of Floyd Roberts, with a team of sniffer dogs used to follow his scent. It was at around this time that a set of footprints had been discovered that followed down the direction of the trail that Ned and his daughter Madeline had claimed Floyd was last seen traveling down. As the dogs followed the trail, it appeared as if they had locked onto the scent of Roberts and continued in the direction of the footprints for several hundred feet before they suddenly stopped. Search and rescuers then noticed that the footprints of Floyd Roberts seemed to have suddenly disappeared, as if Roberts had been walking and then rose into the air and vanished. It was at this point that the National Park Service rescue helicopter was used to get aerial views of the surrounding 10-mile radius, but were unable to locate any signs of someone having fallen down any side paths or in any known areas. After 6 days of frantic searching and thousands of man-hours, the search and rescue for Floyd Roberts slowed down to a passive search. To this day, no sign of Roberts has been recovered. According to official search and rescue reports, Floyd Roberts was last seen wearing a red long-sleeved shirt, blue denim jeans, a multicolored mesh Nike Free sneakers, a large blue low alpine contour backpack, white-rimmed sunglasses with orange lenses, and 2 gallons of water with enough food to last him about a week. Kenneth Arnold's mysterious sighting. Many who have researched unidentified flying objects have reported the various shapes and forms, and these include the disc-shaped UFO, which is particularly prevalent. These sightings, often described as saucer-like or disc-like, have become almost iconic in the collective understanding of UFO phenomena. The image of the disc-shaped UFO entered popular consciousness in the mid-20th century, largely due to a series of high-profile sightings and subsequent media coverage. The most famous early sighting occurred in 1947, when pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 shiny disc-like objects flying at incredible speeds near Mount Rainier, Washington. Arnold's description of the objects as saucer-like quickly led to the term flying saucer becoming synonymous with UFOs. On June 24, 1947, just after 3 in the afternoon, Kenneth Arnold piloted his aircraft over Mineral, Washington. He had a business trip to Yakima, and he had made the small diversion because he knew there was a reward for finding the location of a downed United States Marine Corps cargo jet. However, this diversion would lead him to have one of the most famous UFO encounters, one that is still being talked about to this day. When he could find no trace of the aircraft, he started to veer back towards Mount Rainier, his original target. But as he was doing so, he noticed something shining in one of the plane's mirrors. He glanced rapidly around him, wondering if his calculations were off and he missed another jet that should have been nearby. But he was alone, except for another plane that was miles away. About a minute and a half later, he noticed many light flashes to his left. He promptly eliminated the possibility that the lights were a solar reflection, and that would leave one possible outcome: there must be solid things reflecting the light. They seemed to fly in tight formation and move fast, whatever they were. Believing he was seeing a US experimental aircraft, he scrutinized the items even more closely, but he soon ruled out the notion when he failed to discern a tail on the craft. The items had found their way to his location by now, flying quickly in front of his aircraft. Arnold would try to absorb as much information as he could as they went. Later on, Arnold would say that the craft seemed to have originated in the vicinity of Mount Baker. This is an intriguing point. Many reports of UFO encounters have been connected to different mountains all around the world. In fact, there are many stories and conspiracies around several of these mountains, like Mount Shasta in California and Brown Mountain in North Carolina, about possible hidden bases. The state of Washington, in the upper northwest region of the United States, is undoubtedly a hot spot for UFO activity, even if there was no such term or idea at the time. Just days before Arnold's sighting, the Maury Island incident occurred near Tacoma, Washington. 2 harbor patrolmen reported seeing multiple donut-shaped objects dropping metallic debris over Maury Island. Arnold would detail that the mysterious objects were crescent-shaped, without a tail but possessing wings. They seemed to be a beautiful metallic silver color, reflecting the late afternoon sun. Arnold would calculate their speed from the mountain summits, figuring they were traveling between 1,200 and 1,500 miles per hour, which was significantly quicker than any aircraft the US Air Force, or any Air Force for that matter, had at the time, and is equivalent to a modern-day F-22 Raptor. Arnold would make his scheduled landing in Yakima, Washington at 4 in the afternoon, about an hour after the sighting. He would quickly disclose this information to friends and airport personnel, but only in discreet talks. He would go on to present his account to the waiting journalists on June 25th, and Arnold recalled that he had been misquoted, and that this had led to the name flying saucer. He said that they flew like you would throw a saucer across the ocean. The majority of newspapers misinterpreted and misquoted it. National newspapers picked up the story quickly, and then by foreign newswires, which had a considerable impact, even though they were undoubtedly not as sophisticated as the modern media's round-the-clock operations. So much so that a mixture of curiosity and derision would soon put pressure on Arnold. A few days later, he would declare that he hadn't experienced any moments of calm since he told the story. Nevertheless, a lot of people would see Arnold as a very reliable witness, and while some would certainly make fun of him, others would appreciate how reliable his reports were. He wouldn't sensationalize them or do either. His reputation was further enhanced by the fact that he was an accomplished pilot. The episode would continue to pique media curiosity. Arnold, who was at the time operating in somewhat of a novel and distinctive area, would ostensibly utilize the interviews to discuss his theories and exchange ideas about what he had really seen. Fascinatingly, he might have been among the first to suggest that UFO sightings were possibly the result of a government cover-up. He would stick to his conviction that it would be inappropriate for authorities to shoot one of them. Additionally, he would say that they were heading towards a reachable location. Moreover, human pilots could not have survived the pressure given the way the vehicle maneuvered. In a 1949 interview with the Saturday Evening Post, he would assert that the materials used in the craft were not off this earth. It may be noteworthy that Arnold was so certain that the craft he had observed could have been extraterrestrial in origin. Recall that this was all before the famous incident in New Mexico, and it was undoubtedly before the 1950s saw the popularization of UFOs and flying saucers. In other words, there's no solid evidence to suggest that he was influenced by the prevailing social mores of the period. Although Arnold seemed to be the only person who saw the events he recounted, it would later be discovered that another witness saw the occurrence on June 24th while standing atop Mount Adams. Fred Johnson, a prospector, would report his findings to Army Air Force intelligence. This, incidentally, constitutes the first official UFO report to US authorities, even with the Arnold encounter. He would later assert that, at approximately 3 p.m. on the same day as the Arnold sighting, he had seen 6 things via a telescope. His description of the items would nearly correspond with Arnold's. He would say they were oval with a sharp point at the ends, but he would also say they were round. He would also observe how his compass changed as the items passed overhead. After then, more witnesses would surface. Around 2:30 p.m. on the same occasion, Bernier of Richland would assert that he saw 3 strange objects in the skies over Mount Adams. Richland would claim they were traveling at breakneck speed. He was positive that the items he saw were the exact ones that Arnold had seen. More witnesses would surface. Around 3 p.m, Sidney Gallagher, for instance, would claim to have seen 9 bright discs. A Washington State Forest Service employee who wishes to remain unidentified would describe multiple odd flashes close to Mount Rainier at the same time. A further Seattle resident would later claim to have seen a 9-item weird object chain. Strange object sightings would, in fact, continue virtually every day, and the majority of them, though not all, would originate from the western region of the United States. They would also originate from a wide range of American society's demographics. From those living nearby who saw unusual items in the garden, or to seasoned commercial aircraft pilots, hundreds of people reported seeing things. Nevertheless, the reporting was not up to the level that it would become because this was probably the first such UFO wave. While many at the time believed that these sightings were unmistakable proof of extraterrestrial visits, others conjectured that they were actually military tests, specifically related to the flying wing. The US military would, however, maintain that at the time of the sightings, they had no aircraft in the area, experimental or otherwise. Given that the Roswell incident occurred during this long-forgotten UFO scare, we may perhaps reconsider the reasons behind the information retraction and subsequent cover-up. The mysterious cube seen above Texas. In the expansive skies above Texas, where everything seems bigger and more expansive, an unusual sighting captured the attention of witnesses and enthusiasts alike, a mysterious cube-shaped object. This sighting, reported by multiple witnesses across different locations in Texas, has sparked intrigue and speculation about the nature and origin of the unidentified flying object. The first reports came from rural areas near Amarillo and Lubbock, where residents described seeing a peculiar object hovering silently in the sky. Unlike conventional aircraft or celestial bodies, the UFO was characterized by its distinct cubic shape, with sharp edges and symmetrical sides that defied the typical aerodynamic designs of human-made vehicles. Witnesses recounted how the cube-shaped UFO appeared to hover motionless in the air. Some observers noted unusual dark markings on the surface of the object, hinting at advanced technology or unfamiliar symbols that fueled speculation about its advanced origins. News of the cube-shaped UFO spread rapidly through social media platforms and local news outlets, prompting a flurry of eyewitness accounts, amateur photographs, and videos capturing fleeting glimpses of the mysterious object. Amateur astronomers and skywatchers trained their telescopes and cameras on the skies, hoping to document additional sightings or gather more evidence to corroborate the reports. In the days following the initial sightings, researchers into the unknown and aviation were called upon to analyze the available data and provide insights into the phenomenon. Skeptics cautioned against jumping to conclusions, suggesting that the cube-shaped UFO could be a drone, experimental aircraft, or even a rare atmospheric phenomenon that appeared distorted under specific lighting conditions. Black cube-shaped unidentified flying objects present a perplexing anomaly in the realm of aviation. In stark contrast to conventional aircraft that rely on wings or rotor blades for lift, these mysterious objects exhibit a striking geometric precision, manifesting as flawless cubes hovering in the expanse of the atmosphere and having no visible propulsion system. The emergence of such immaculately structured forms not only defies our existing comprehension of propulsion systems and aerodynamic principles, but also poses intriguing challenges to the very foundation of engineering as we know it. The phenomenon surrounding the black cube-shaped UFOs is incredibly intriguing, with a key aspect being the abundance of credible eyewitness testimonies. These accounts stem from a wide array of sources, such as pilots, military servicemen, law enforcement officers, and seasoned observers. Their detailed portrayals consistently describe cube-shaped crafts showcasing sophisticated flight capabilities, including silent hovering and maneuvers that challenge conventional laws of physics. The diversity of these witnesses adds significant weight to the credibility of these encounters, highlighting a pattern that goes beyond mere speculation and instigates a deeper exploration into the enigmatic nature of these mysterious objects. Images and footage recorded by observers depict these mysterious entities in diverse settings and circumstances. Mysterious triangular structure melting out of iceberg. In the remote expanses of northeastern Greenland, where vast icebergs drift silently through frigid Arctic waters, an intriguing discovery was made that sparked global fascination and debate. It began with an amateur explorer, an enthusiast of satellite imagery, who stumbled upon a mysterious triangular structure seemingly emerging from the ice-covered landscape. This discovery, made possible through the lens of Google Earth, captivated the imagination of the public and ignited speculation about its origin and purpose. The individual who found the mysterious object said that they had always been fascinated by the uncharted and the unknown. Armed with a passion for exploration and a keen eye for detail, the man spent countless hours scouring satellite images of remote regions, searching for anomalies and hidden treasures that might elude the casual observer. It was during one of these virtual expeditions, while navigating the icy terrain northeast of Okefenokee, Greenland, that he stumbled upon the strange triangular structure. The structure appeared to protrude from the surface of a large iceberg, its geometric outlines starkly contrasting against the pristine white backdrop of the Arctic landscape. From the satellite image, it was clear that the structure exhibited precise triangular symmetry, suggesting deliberate design rather than natural formation. Its edges were sharply defined, a testament to its substantial height and solid construction. The man was initially skeptical of the discovery, considering the possibility of an optical illusion or a glitch in the satellite imagery. However, as he meticulously analyzed multiple satellite views from different angles and lighting conditions, the triangular structure remained unmistakably present, consistent in shape and position across various images. Excited yet cautious, He shared his findings with fellow enthusiasts and online communities dedicated to satellite imagery and exploration. The discovery quickly gained traction on social media platforms and discussion forums, where theories and speculations abound about the nature and origin of the mysterious structure. Some hypothesized that the triangular structure could be an ancient artifact buried within the ice, preserved by millennia of Arctic conditions and recently exposed by shifting icebergs or glaciers. The possibility of a lost civilization or prehistoric settlement buried beneath Greenland's icy veneer captured the imagination of those drawn to mysteries of the past. Others speculated more boldly, suggesting that the triangular structure might be of advanced origin, a relic left behind by an advanced alien civilization that visited Earth in ancient times. Proponents of this theory pointed to the structure's geometric perfection and its unexpected location within one of Earth's most remote and inhospitable regions as evidence of an otherworldly connection. Mysterious structures seen inside the Moon's craters. In the vast expanse of space, our Moon has long been a subject of fascination and exploration, with countless missions aimed at unraveling its mysteries and unlocking its secrets. Among the intriguing anomalies observed in NASA's lunar photographs are mysterious structures nestled within moon craters. These structures, captured in high-resolution images from various lunar missions, have sparked speculation and debate among scientists, astronomers, and enthusiasts alike. The discovery of these strange structures within moon craters challenges our understanding of lunar geology and raises intriguing questions about their origin, purpose, and potential implications for our understanding of the Moon's history and cosmic phenomena. Images from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and other lunar missions have revealed anomalous formations within moon craters that appear to exhibit distinct geometric shapes and symmetrical patterns. These structures range from simple geometric outlines to more complex arrangements that defy natural erosion and geological processes known to occur on the lunar surface. Some structures appear as elongated or rectangular shapes protruding from crater walls, while others exhibit dome-like features or irregular formations that suggest artificial construction rather than natural geological formations. These observations have prompted speculation about the possibility of ancient lunar civilizations or extraterrestrial activity that may have left behind remnants of their presence. According to Donna Hare, a NASA launch photographic specialist, there was a facility in Johnson Space Center's Building 8 dedicated to airbrushing out unexplained flying aircraft from high-resolution satellite pictures. It's interesting to note that NASA has been charged with removing these abnormalities. According to current reports, NASA does not alter or airbrush their images to conceal proof of extraterrestrial life or other secrets. NASA has stated that it is dedicated to openness and providing accurate information about its missions and findings. UFOs seen above nuclear sites. UFOs seem to have an unsettling interest in nuclear-based locations, from the damaged Fukushima nuclear facility to various American missile stations. One of the worst nuclear accidents in history occurred at the Fukushima nuclear plant in 2011, when an earthquake and ensuing tsunami destroyed its electrical grid. Oddly enough, the explosion was shortly followed by UFO activity. Many in the area during this time stated that they were very prevalent. UFOs have been reported frequently in the vicinity of areas where nuclear activity has been sparked by humans, and according to author Dr. Jensine Anderson, there are very clear connections between nuclear occurrences and UFO sightings going back decades. She believes that there is an advanced presence operating primarily on Earth and in the oceans. Anderson claimed to have examined 39 separate testimonies between the 1940s and 1990s regarding UFO encounters close to nuclear installations, citing declassified US government reports from the FBI and CIA. According to Anderson, the 1986 Chernobyl incident in Ukraine serves as one of the most glaring instances of these kinds of activity surrounding nuclear installations. There were numerous reports of UFO activity, and additionally, multiple witnesses saw a UFO arrive during the height of the fire, stay for 3 minutes, flash a light at Unit 4, and then take off. It's reported that the worker measured the Roentgen and said that it seemed to have fallen to 800, adding that before the UFO was spotted, it was over 3,000. Anderson shares the chief monk of the Miracle Temple's belief that these advanced entities are attempting to save humanity from annihilation through nuclear disasters. Brazilian werewolf caught on camera. As the night settled over the city of Quilândia, located in the Federal District of Brazil, a security camera positioned in a secluded alley captured footage that would ignite speculation and fear throughout the community. This footage, purportedly showing a humanoid figure resembling a Brazilian werewolf, quickly spread across social media, local news outlets, and paranormal investigation circles, stirring curiosity and apprehension among residents. Quilândia, a bustling urban area known for its diverse population and vibrant culture, suddenly found itself at the center of a supernatural mystery. Reports of strange occurrences and sightings had circulated in the past, but the security camera footage provided tangible visual evidence, or so it seemed, of an otherworldly entity prowling the streets under the cover of darkness. The footage, grainy and captured in low-light conditions, depicted a figure moving with an unnatural gait and possessing features that appeared humanoid, yet distinctly animalistic. Witnesses who viewed the footage described the creature as resembling a werewolf from Brazilian folklore. According to Brazilian legend, the individual is believed to be a cursed individual who transforms into a wolf-like creature under the light of the full moon, terrorizing villages and feeding on livestock or unsuspecting victims. The creature is said to possess heightened senses, strength beyond human capabilities, and an insatiable hunger for flesh, a harbinger of fear and superstition passed down through generations. In the wake of the security camera footage, local authorities and paranormal investigators mobilized to investigate the incident and reassure a frightened populace. Skeptics cautioned against jumping to supernatural conclusions, attributing the footage to elaborate hoaxes, misidentified animals, or psychological perceptions influenced by cultural beliefs and folklore. However, paranormal researchers viewed the footage through a different lens, speculating on the possibility of an undiscovered species or a genuine encounter with a supernatural being. They analyzed the creature's movements, morphology, and behavior captured in the footage, searching for clues that might validate its existence beyond folklore and urban legend. The city where the sighting happened, with its blend of urban development and natural landscapes, provided an intriguing backdrop for the alleged sighting of the Brazilian werewolf humanoid. Located on the outskirts of Brasilia, Brazil's capital city, Quilândia's proximity to rural areas and dense vegetation offered plausible habitats for elusive creatures or mythological beings described in local folklore. Eyewitness testimonies emerged in the aftermath of the incident, with residents recounting encounters with strange creatures or unexplained phenomena in and around Quilândia. Some claimed to have heard eerie howls or witnessed fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures moving stealthily through the night, fueling speculation about the presence of supernatural entities lurking in the city's periphery. Oddly enough, werewolf sightings to this day have continued, and whether viewed as supernatural entities, psychological phenomena, or symbolic representations of primal fears, these tales continue to captivate imaginations and underscore the enduring allure of the unknown in Brazil's diverse and vibrant cultural landscape. The ghost of St. Augustine's lighthouse. St. Augustine, Florida, one of the oldest cities in the United States, is full of spirits and history. Tourists visiting the lighthouse claim to have seen a small girl dressed in historical attire standing next to an upstairs window or gazing out from the lighthouse door. A cell tower technician captured a picture of his colleague in 2009 with the lighthouse in the backdrop. The image shows a young girl standing by herself on the upper observation deck, dressed in a long dress and having long hair. The little girl's spirits are kind and avoid eye contact with guests. Regretfully, there are other, less agreeable characters at the lighthouse, such as the one who people have started to refer to as the man in blue. Many people who have worked or resided in the house have been horrified by this spectre, which follows them down all 219 of the tower's steps. One lighthouse keeper refused to stay in the lighthouse any longer because he was so uncomfortable. Finally, he was relieved of his duty by a coast guard who obviously had no fear of ghosts. Built in 1874, the lighthouse near the tip of Anastasia Island in St. Augustine is one of many that have protected the city ever since Sir Francis Drake invaded the settlement in 1586. Now a National Historic Monument, St. Augustine welcomes thousands of tourists every year. However, its history isn't the only reason why people visit. The lighthouse is said to be home to numerous ghosts that have haunted St. Augustine throughout the years. The current lighthouse was built starting in 1871 after the old one built by the American government in the territory eroded and sank into the sea. Hezekiah Pittee was the person in charge of the project, and he let his kids play with the supply cart that went between the ocean and the lighthouse in order to keep them occupied. However, he would later come to regret that choice on July 10, 1873. Eliza and Mary, the two oldest Pittee children, lost their life after the cart fell into the lake after a day of playing. Though her name is omitted from newspaper articles, historians think that a third child was also taken out in the collision. Workers on the lighthouse claim that the playful ghosts of these kids still haunt the structure. The following day, workers will discover that the stairwell is filled with children's laughter and that locked doors are wide open. Unexpectedly, music boxes at the gift shop start to play on their own, and while guiding guests around the lighthouse, tour operators have reported numerous instances of being touched or grabbed by spirits. It's difficult to give an exact number of caves in the Grand Canyon as new caves are still being discovered and the number is constantly changing. However, it's estimated that there are over 1,000 known caves within the Grand Canyon National Park boundaries. These caves vary in size and shape, and many of them are not accessible to the public due to safety concerns or to protect the delicate cave ecosystems. Various interesting discoveries are said to have been made at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's due to the vast, largely unexplored caves. There's been whispers that the area is holding many secrets, with one of the lesser-known ones being that the area may have once been the home of an underground ancient civilization, with those who explored the area saying that artifacts were found and that they belonged to the ancient Egyptians. This interesting story starts in 1909 when an explorer by the name of G.E. Kincaid found a variety of strange artifacts while exploring the Grand Canyon. He was sent there by the Smithsonian Institution, saying that he was told to explore the large caverns that were covered by a large entrance that was almost inaccessible. The team was led by Smithsonian anthropologist S.A. Jordan, but it was Kincaid who had allegedly made the discovery. The team reported that once inside, they found that the caves were in the shape of a wheel, saying that once they made their way inside the caverns, they found various artifacts, including copper artifacts and statues. The team also reported that the area was so big that it could have been inhabited by up to 50,000 people, noting that it was easily big enough to hold an ancient civilization. Although people living underground sounds like something from a movie, Derinkuyu is an underground city that was inhabited by people during the 8th to 7th century BC. Officials said the following about the discovery. Once the team started to look closely at the artifact, they noticed that they didn't match anything in their records and didn't match anything that had been found in the region, most notably those of the Native Americans. These artifacts more closely resembled those that were coming out of Egypt. The big question was, how did these ancient artifacts end up in a deep cavern within the Grand Canyon? And was there an ancient Egyptian civilization that had somehow made their way here? End quote. The Smithsonian later came forward and said that the team that had been sent down into the Grand Canyon didn't find anything, and that they have no proof that anything had been found. The only reply that the Smithsonian has given about the story is saying that they didn't find anything. As of right now, skeptics have said there is no credible evidence to suggest that there is an underground Egyptian city beneath the Grand Canyon. This is a common theory that has been circulating for decades, but there is no factual basis to support it. The mysterious photograph captured inside the Grand Caverns. There's been a number of interesting photographs that have been captured in national parks. One of these was taken in the Grand Caverns in 1895 by Orrin Jeffries. There's a limited amount of information on this photograph, but the story goes that amateur photographer Orrin Jeffries was exploring an unmapped section of Grand Cavern, something that few people have done due to stories of disappearances and encountering mysterious creatures. The caverns he was exploring were located in southwestern Virginia, and in recent years there's been a variety of theories that have been put forward that suggest the caverns aren't just caverns, but could be home to underground networks. In fact, this has been backed up in recent years by hikers who have said that they discovered underground networks while exploring the area. Orrin Jeffries made his way into one of the caverns, and due to not being able to see anything, decided to conduct a photographic experiment where he would point his camera out into the darkness and take a long exposure shot. For those unaware, a long exposure technique takes advantage of slow shutter speeds, which in turn allows the user to capture the motion of a moving element or more light from a night scene. During one of these sessions, he heard something moving deep in the cave, and due to him being alone and worried, he decided to set off one of the flashes in order to see what it was. After he left the cavern, he developed the photograph and could see that he had captured what appeared to be 3 humanoid-like creatures. He then approached the local newspaper and told them that 3 humanoids could be seen looking in his direction, and that after the photograph was taken, he ran out of the cavern as fast as he could. Interestingly, when researchers later enhanced the photo, they detailed that they could see one of the creatures raising its arm, with some suggesting that the humanoid may have had something in its hand like a rock, and that had Orrin stayed just a few more moments, he may have been attacked by the creature. The mysterious disappearance of Adam Clayton Lyle Jones at the Grand Canyon. Though the investigative services branch of the law enforcement generally try to solve cases as efficiently and quickly as possible, this sadly is not always the case, and most often than not, cases tend to grow cold for months or years afterwards. These cases are not closed and remain open and may become active should new evidence surface. Kathy Cupper, one of the spokespeople for the investigative services branch, said the following: "It's always there on the table. Sometimes a tip will come in, or someone will hear something, and it will go active again." End quote. Adam Clayton Lyle Jones is one of the unfortunate missing individuals whose case has grown cold. Jones went missing on the 31st of March back in 2011 and has not yet been found. The man, who was only 23 at the time of his disappearance and would now be 33 years old, was last said to have been last seen by his family in the Gulf Breeze in Florida. His family claim he left home early in the afternoon in a blue Oldsmobile Delta 88, and that the only personal possession he took with him was his laptop, no other notable belongings. Little did Jones's family realize that would be the last time they would ever get to see him again. It took until the 5th of May 2011 for a park ranger to acknowledge the abandoned Delta 88 car parked at the South Rim center of the Grand Canyon National Park. At the time, Jones had not yet been reported as a missing person and therefore not initially considered as a victim. The park ranger managed to contact Jones's parents about the abandoned car, who then proceeded to file the missing persons report to the police. Contents found within the car included an itinerary of various routes of California cities and places in Denver, Colorado. Surprisingly, there was not a mobile phone in the car, as Jones did not have his phone on him when he went missing. To this day, investigators have no idea whether he was lost or injured in the wilderness, or if something else, far more morbid, might have happened. Furthermore, there is no actual evidence that he even entered the Grand Canyon Park, no photographic or witness proof that he was there, apart from the car parked in the car park. With so little to go off, investigators have had a difficult time finding any clues to Adam Jones' whereabouts. A worker for the Washington State Department of Transportation noticed something moving on one of their cameras. As they zoomed in, they said they could see what appeared to be a large human walking next to one of the trees, saying that it was much larger than a standard human. They then put out a post on social media, asking if any hikers had seen anything in the area, and requested that people be on the lookout. The Washington State Department of Transportation said that it's not a cardboard cutout and it hasn't been photoshopped. The worker said that they've never been up to the camera and that it's an area that doesn't often get visited by hikers. Some suggested that the photographs show a real humanoid creature, while others said that it could be the outline of a tree that's causing an illusion. However, the worker said this wasn't the case. As of right now, whatever this thing was moved on, as there was no other update from the Washington State Department of Transportation. Oddly enough, this isn't the first time that workers have encountered mysterious humanoids, and go on to detail that every so often one of these creatures will show up, leaving those who see it confused. All across North America are reported sightings of the Sasquatch creature, a massive bipedal humanoid giant covered in hair from head to toe and commonly encountered within or nearby the untamed woods and landscapes found all across the United States and Canada. Oddly enough, not every state or local area across North America refers to the creature as Sasquatch. More commonly, local legends will feature similar descriptions of the creature, but with slight variations in its design alongside differing names. One of the most interesting sightings features a Floridian creature known as the skunk ape, a legendary giant native to the wetlands and swampy state parks, with reports going back several centuries. Located on the border of the state of Florida and Georgia is a 438-acre swampland that stretches across the state borders and houses a wide variety of undiscovered animal and insect species. This peat-filled wetland, referred to as the Okefenokee Swamp, has been at the center of several encounters with the skunk ape creature and is often believed to be the last unexplored refuge of the creatures in the modern day. Even more interesting, the name Okefenokee is a native Creek Indian word that roughly translates to mean the land of the trembling earth and seems to reference a massive creature that's known for shaking the earth as it walks. The oldest known skunk ape encounter to have occurred within the Okefenokee Swamp was reported back during the winter of 1828. According to the report made by 2 eyewitnesses, both of which were amateur hunters who were looking to explore the surrounding area, the 2 men came across what they referred to as a giant. Originally, their expedition began as a short hunting party, but rather than turn back at the height of their excitement, the 2 men's trip continued for another several weeks as they traveled deeper into the swamp, recording brief encounters with bears, panthers, alligators, and overgrown snakes. Roughly 3 weeks into their hunting trip, the men claimed to have heard the sound of loud screaming. However, the screams sounded much deeper and louder than a man could naturally produce. As they glanced around the woods surrounding their camp to investigate the source of the noise, the men then heard what they described as the sound of heavy stomping, as if a large creature was running through the woods surrounding their camp. Unsure of whether or not the creature was a large wild animal or a distressed man, the 2 hunters decided to light a fire and stay within the proximity of their makeshift camp until daylight, as the day was soon ending and darkness was fast approaching. Despite the roaring fire to help keep the nearby woods illuminated, the men complained that they were unable to sleep due to the strange sounds they continued to hear, despite no creature being visible anywhere near their location. Additionally, it became necessary to gather nearby scraps of wood to keep the fire burning, and so the men were forced to venture slightly more and more into the surrounding darkness to maintain their light source. By the next morning, the men investigated the nearby woods and wetlands, hoping to find any evidence of a creature having prowled their camp the night prior. After a few hours of looking, the men claimed that they came across several barefoot human-looking footprints that would have been impossible for any normal person to have made. Mostly due to the fact that the footprints were all spaced roughly 6 feet apart and were an estimated 18 inches in length. Worried that the creature might return, the hunters immediately fled the swamp and returned to town. Oddly enough, the story of the encounter with the unknown swamp giant does not end there. Once the 2 hunters returned to the closest town, they told the nearby townspeople of what they had encountered and warned them that a monster might soon attack the town. Fearful of the beast, the town gathered together a hunting party of 9 men to hunt down the beast and take it out before it could attack the town. Gathered together, the men went into the swamp and traveled as far down as its southernmost part, now located in the state of Florida. After several days of searching the area, the men located sets of footprints far too large for any normal man to have created and used the footprints as a trail guiding them directly to the giant. As the men began following the footprints, they noticed that they were often spaced increasingly further apart, sometimes disappearing completely and reappearing elsewhere in the swamps, as if the creature climbed and jumped between trees for traveling. Before long, the trail was completely lost, and the 9 men decided to make camp for the night and begin their search again at daybreak. Unfortunately for the band of men, during the night, the creature would invade the camp and attack the hunters in a fit of rage. According to the 9 witnesses, a massive humanoid creature covered in hair all over its body suddenly ran straight through the camp, toppling over several tents, and began tearing apart the equipment and supplies of the traveling men. Fearing for their lives, The men grabbed their weapons and fired at the creature, causing the giant to retaliate by overpowering the men and defeating 5 members of the party, tossing their limp bodies several feet as if they weighed next to nothing. The remaining 4 members continued firing at the creature, sending several rounds of bullets through its chest before the creature fell down in a low grumble and passed away shortly after. After closer examination of the giant's body, the men estimated the humanoid creature to have been slightly over 13 feet in height and appeared to look exactly like a man with the exception of its tremendous size and full body covering of hair. However, while observing the body, the men continued to hear the sound of screaming in the surrounding woods, similar to what the 2 hunters had experienced on their journey several days prior. Believing that the screaming could be coming from a dozen more of the giant creatures, the men packed up their equipment and began moving out of the swamp during the night, unable to wait until morning out of fear that a retaliatory attack would take place if they continued to stay. Once the 4 men returned to the nearest town, they told the townspeople what happened to the 5 other men who were attacked, and that they estimated that a dozen more of the giant creatures were still out there in the nearby swamps. Fearing that an attack would eventually reach the town, the men began traveling throughout the area and warning people of an impending attack from giants. On the 1st of January, 1829, a local reporter would interview the men and retell their story for local publishing. By February of that year, less than 30 days after the original publication, reprinting of the story spread to neighboring communities and would see a February issue published in the Connecticut newspaper, warning traveling parties to stay clear of the Okefenokee Swamp. Although continued sightings would be made of the giant humanoid creatures in the surrounding areas, later referred to as skunk apes, no violent attack was made over the following years. After a few decades, the sensationalism of the story eventually settled down and became nothing more than a local legend. To this day, travelers are still warned of the Okefenokee Swamp giants when traveling through the region. Someone on social media sent us this photograph saying that it was captured above the United States. They couldn't explain what the object was in the sky, detailing that it looked to be in the shape of a black triangle. The photographs were soon sent to various online groups that investigate mysterious phenomena, and the majority of them agreed that this was a black triangle, a mysterious aircraft that's been sighted across the United States for several decades. The mystery here, though, is that no one is sure what they are and who they belong to. If they belong to the United States military, then it proves that they have technology far superior than anyone else, as these aircrafts have been observed outmaneuvering jets and traveling at tens of thousands of miles per hour. When these types of photographs are taken, it's very hard for the eyewitnesses to be able to record the encounter, mainly because the vast majority of eyewitnesses aren't expecting to see anything, so the encounter is usually rushed, leaving those involved with more questions than answers. The phenomenon of black triangles has been a topic of interest and debate for many years. Reports of these triangular-shaped aircrafts have been documented across the world, and many people believe that they are extraterrestrial in origin. The first recorded sighting of a black triangle was in 1561 over Nuremberg. The 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg was a rare and unusual event that occurred on April 14, 1561, in Nuremberg, Germany. It was an aerial battle that took place in the sky above the city and involved a large number of strange flying objects that were described as spheres, cylinders, triangles, and crosses. This event has been the subject of much debate and speculation among researchers and historians over the years. The event began at dawn when a number of large black spheres were seen emerging from the sky. These spheres were said to be as big as a small house and were followed by a series of smaller objects, some of which were described as cylinders and others as crosses. Witnesses reported seeing these objects move and dart around in the sky in a chaotic and violent manner, as if engaged in some sort of aerial battle. According to contemporary accounts, the objects emitted a strange noise that sounded like a great many men, women, and children screaming. Some witnesses reported feeling a sense of dread and fear as they watched the objects in the sky, while others were filled with wonder and amazement. The event lasted for about an hour before the objects disappeared back into the sky. In the aftermath, the people of Nuremberg were left to wonder what had just happened. Some speculated that the objects were celestial in nature and had some sort of religious or divine significance. Others believed that they were the product of advanced technology or even extraterrestrial in origin. Over the years, the Nuremberg event has become one of the most famous and well-documented mass UFO sightings in history. Some researchers have suggested that the event may have been the result of a natural phenomenon, such as a meteor shower or an unusual weather pattern. Despite the many theories and speculations surrounding the Nuremberg event, no one has been able to provide a definitive explanation for what actually happened that day. The event remains an enigma and a mystery to this day, and continues to capture the imagination of believers and historians alike. One of the most famous Black Triangle sightings occurred in Belgium in 1989 and 1990. During this time, hundreds of people reported seeing a triangular-shaped aircraft with 3 bright lights. The sightings were so widespread that the Belgian Air Force launched an investigation, but they were unable to identify the object. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the Belgian Black Triangle sightings remain one of the most well-documented cases in history. In recent years, there have been numerous sightings of black triangles across the world, including in the United States, United Kingdom, and Mexico. These sightings have led to many theories about the origin of these objects. Some believe that they are controlled by advanced beings, while others suggest that they are top-secret military aircraft or drones. One popular theory is that black triangles are part of a secret military project. The US Air Force has acknowledged that they are testing advanced aircraft, but they deny that any of these aircraft are triangular in shape. Despite this, many people remain convinced that the military is testing new aircraft and that black triangles are a part of this testing. Others believe that black triangles are evidence of advanced life forms. They point to the shape of the objects, which is not consistent with any known aircraft, and suggest that they must have been created by something incredibly advanced. While there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, it remains a popular belief among many enthusiasts. The impact of black triangle sightings on popular culture has been significant. The widespread interest in these sightings has also led to increased attention from the scientific community, with researchers studying the sightings in an attempt to explain their origin. As of right now, the phenomenon of black triangles is a topic of great interest and debate. While there is no concrete evidence to support any one theory about their origin, their widespread sightings suggest that they are more than just a myth. However, as the years go on and more evidence is presented, it is possible that we may one day uncover the truth behind these mysterious objects. The Aurora aircraft is a mysterious and controversial plane that has been the subject of much speculation and debate since the 1980s. Although the existence of the Aurora has never been officially confirmed by the US government, many aviation enthusiasts and theorists believe that the plane is a highly classified stealth aircraft capable of flying at hypersonic speeds and reaching altitudes of up to 100,000 feet. The origins of the Aurora can be traced back to the late 1970s, when the US Air Force began developing a replacement for the aging SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance plane. According to some accounts, the new plane was designed to be capable of flying at 6 times the speed of sound or faster, and to operate at altitudes well above those reachable by conventional aircraft. The Aurora was also believed to be equipped with advanced stealth technology that would make it virtually invisible to radar. The first reported sightings of the Aurora occurred in the early 1980s, when a number of witnesses in California, Nevada, and other states reported seeing a triangular-shaped aircraft flying at high speeds and making sharp turns. Over the years, similar sightings have been reported in other parts of the world, including Europe, Australia, and Asia. As of right now, the US government has never acknowledged the existence of the plane, and there are no official documents or photographs of the Aurora. However, there have been numerous unofficial reports and rumors about the plane over the years, and some aviation experts believe that it may have been used in various covert operations and military missions. Some have gone further, speculating that the Aurora is part of a secret government program to develop advanced technologies for use in space and extraterrestrial exploration. Some even claim that the plane is capable of interstellar travel and has been used to explore other planets and galaxies. Despite the lack of official confirmation or concrete evidence, the aurora continues to fascinate and intrigue many people. Its mysterious origins and alleged capabilities have led to countless theories and speculations, and the plane remains one of the most enigmatic and controversial aircraft in history. Yellowstone National Park is a national park located primarily in the US state of Wyoming, although it also extends into Montana and Idaho. It was established in 1872 and is widely considered to be the world's first national park. Yellowstone National Park is known for its vast and diverse ecosystem, which includes dramatic landscapes, geothermal features such as geysers and hot springs, and a variety of wildlife, including grizzly bears, wolves, bison, elk, and moose. It's home to over 10,000 thermal features, including the famous Old Faithful geyser, which erupts regularly and draws millions of visitors each year. Yellowstone National Park is also known for its important role in the history of national parks in the United States. Its creation marked a turning point in American conservation efforts, inspiring the establishment of other national parks and protected areas around the country. Something that it's not known for is mysterious glowing orbs. Interestingly, it's reported that a strange glowing object was detected on one of Yellowstone's live cameras, which caused people to upload the footage online in order to try and work out what it was. Oddly enough, these glowing objects have been reported across the entire United States, and some amateur researchers who've spent countless hours researching this phenomenon have said that they are one of the most commonly sighted mysterious aircrafts. As of right now, various theories have been put forward to try and explain what they are, but these sightings don't match everyday objects. Those who've seen the video have said that the glowing orbs appear to be moving throughout the area and can be seen pulsating. Others said that they spotted various objects throughout the video that don't look natural, with one person saying that a bright light can be seen flying into one of the geysers. This isn't the first time that strange objects have been seen above Yellowstone. Hikers have often detailed witnessing mysterious aircrafts above the national park, with one amateur researcher saying that these objects are actually quite common, and that in many cases people don't realize that they've caught them. These glowing objects have been given various different names over the years, but the researcher said that they didn't realize how common they were until they started to slow down footage. Only then did they get an idea of how often these objects are captured. The interesting thing about these objects is that they don't fit into the conventional categories. In some cases that involve mysterious aircrafts, there's an argument that can be made that they are just top-secret aircrafts that the public don't know about. But with these glowing orbs, they are not big enough to be a plane or a helicopter. In most encounters, eyewitnesses describe them as being no larger than a few feet and having no discernible propulsion system. They are also noted as making no noise and being able to fly incredibly fast. It's for this reason that people have struggled to explain their sighting and has led them to look outside of the box. One theory that's been put forward is that these objects could be something like ball lightning. Ball lightning is a rare phenomenon that is typically described as a glowing sphere of light that appears during thunderstorms. It's often accompanied by a hissing or buzzing sound and can last for several seconds before disappearing. The exact nature of ball lightning is still not well understood, and there are a number of different theories about what causes it. Some scientists believe that it may be related to lightning strikes, while others suggest that it may be caused by the combustion of gases in the atmosphere. There have been numerous reports of ball lightning over the years, although it remains a relatively rare occurrence. Because it is so difficult to study and reproduce in laboratory conditions, much of what is known about ball lightning is based on anecdotal evidence and eyewitness accounts. Although ball lightning definitely matches the description of these objects, in many sightings there's no lighting present, and ball lightning is also not known to travel at extreme speeds. It's for this reason that researchers into the unknown have said that we're dealing with something entirely different, and that as of right now, we are no closer to understanding what they are and where they come from. Interestingly, some of the first sightings of these glowing objects were reported during the 1940s. The country where they are most commonly seen is that of the United States, but they've also been encountered above the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and various places in Europe. According to a large number of eyewitness sightings, there was an alarming number of consistent reports made of silent hovering objects that were described by onlookers and local residents as glowing aircrafts. The orbs were often detailed as appearing to be small aircrafts that demonstrated abilities impossible for known aircraft to have accomplished at the time. Detailed in the vast majority of witness reports, the glowing orbs were known for appearing out of nowhere, suddenly within the blink of an eye and disappearing just as quickly, vanishing into thin air or shooting off at incredibly violent speeds, impossible to replicate with any known technology at the time. Even airmen during the war would detail their encounters with them, describing glowing objects that would approach their aircraft as if inspecting it and then fly away at extreme speeds, with other sightings described as appearing to have the physical characteristics of ghostly light, with recounted stories emphasizing that the aircraft appeared to glow colors while demonstrating incredible violations of the basic laws of physics. According to the gathered data surrounding these glowing orbs, thousands of them have been reported. It's believed that throughout the early 2000s, over 3,000 reports were made by people throughout the United States, and those are just the ones we know about. That number is said to be much higher, as the majority of people don't report their encounters. The majority of these sightings were made during times that did not coincide with known meteor shower or lightning events, with them demonstrating abilities to maneuver, react, and change trajectories entirely. In the quiet waters of Oklahoma's lakes, an eerie legend persists, whispered among locals and intrepid adventurers alike. The tale of the Oklahoma octopus, a giant cephalopod said to inhabit the lakes of this landlocked state, has intrigued and frightened swimmers and divers for years. While mainstream science questions the existence of such a creature, numerous encounters have been reported, contributing to the mysterious lore surrounding this alleged freshwater monster. This octopus-like creature is said to be 6 to 15 feet in length, with skin that is reddish-brown and strong tentacles that had the power to take unsuspecting swimmers. Though its exact origins are unknown, some accounts link the legend to Native American folklore about an odd aquatic creature that has a hunger for human flesh. Some claim that the large number of drownings and disappearances that have happened in the Oklahoma lakes throughout the years served as inspiration. The legend of the Oklahoma octopus is relatively recent, gaining traction in the early 2000s. Despite Oklahoma being a landlocked state, where traditional marine octopuses cannot survive due to the lack of salt water, the legend persists. Some suggest that the creature could be an undiscovered species of freshwater cephalopod, or even an ancient, prehistorically adapted octopus that somehow survived and evolved in these freshwater environments. One of the earliest and most widely cited encounters occurred in the summer of 2003. A group of teenagers swimming in Lake Thunderbird reported seeing a large, shadowy figure beneath the surface. Initially, they thought it was a log or debris, but panic ensued when the object moved against the current. One swimmer, Karen Thompson, described feeling something brush against her leg, followed by a sharp, stinging sensation. She emerged from the water with a series of suction-like marks on her calf, resembling octopus tentacle marks. In 2008, a team of divers conducting a recreational dive in Lake Tenkiller reported a chilling encounter with a massive creature. Lead diver, Mark Henson, recounted how visibility was low due to the murky water when he noticed an unusually large and dark shape moving swiftly near the lakebed. Initially thinking it was a large catfish or gar, Henson swam closer, only to be confronted by what he described as a gigantic, tentacled creature. The divers quickly ascended, shaken but unharmed. Henson's account was corroborated by his fellow divers, adding credibility to the sighting. In 2012, a seasoned fisherman named Earl Mitchell reported an encounter while night fishing on Lake Uloga. Mitchell claimed that as he was reeling in his catch, a tremendous force pulled against his line, nearly dragging him into the water. After a tense struggle, the line snapped, but not before he glimpsed a massive octopus-like arm breaking the surface. His story, combined with unexplained disappearances of pets and livestock near the lake, fueled further speculation about the Oklahoma octopus's existence. In the summer of 2015, a seasoned fisherman named Tom Harris experienced an encounter that would forever alter his understanding of the lakes he had fished in all his life. Tom, an experienced diver and angler, had spent countless hours exploring the depths of Oklahoma's lakes. However, nothing had prepared him for the day he came face to face with what he believes to be the elusive Oklahoma octopus. Tom Harris was a well-known figure in his community, respected for his knowledge of local wildlife and his dedication to preserving the natural beauty of Oklahoma's lakes. With over 20 years of diving and fishing experience, Tom had a deep appreciation for the aquatic ecosystems he frequented. His usual haunt was Lake Tenkiller, one of the largest and deepest lakes in the state, renowned for its clear waters and abundant fish species. On a warm July afternoon, Tom decided to go for a dive to explore a section of Lake Tenkiller that he had not visited in years. Equipped with his diving gear and underwater camera, Tom aimed to document the underwater flora and fauna, hoping to capture some rare footage of the lake's aquatic life. As he descended into the cool, clear water, Tom marveled at the vibrant ecosystem below. Schools of fish darted around him, and the underwater vegetation swayed gently with the currents. After about 30 minutes of exploring, Tom noticed a peculiar, shadowy figure in the distance. Intrigued, he decided to investigate further. As Tom swam closer, the figure began to take shape. To his astonishment, he saw a massive octopus-like creature partially concealed among the rocks and vegetation. The creature was unlike anything he had ever seen in fresh water. Its body was large and bulbous, covered in a reddish-brown skin that blended seamlessly with the surroundings. Long, sinuous tentacles extended outward, some wrapped around rocks while others moved languidly in the water. As he moved towards the creature, it suddenly became aware of his presence. One of its tentacles reached out towards him, and Tom felt a sharp tug on his leg. Panic surged through him as he struggled to free himself. Using his dive knife, he managed to cut through the tentacle's grasp, leaving a suction mark on his calf. The creature retreated into the shadows, and Tom, shaken but unharmed, quickly ascended to the surface. Tom surfaced, gasping for breath and adrenaline coursing through his veins. Tom's encounter reignited the debate over the existence of the Oklahoma octopus. Mainstream scientists remained skeptical, pointing out the biological improbability of a marine octopus living in a freshwater environment. They suggested alternative explanations, such as a misidentified large catfish or a species of freshwater jellyfish that could have given the appearance of an octopus. Researchers into the unknown were more open to Tom's account. They argued that his detailed description and photographic evidence provided valuable data for further investigation. They also noted the similarity of his sighting to other reports of large, octopus-like creatures in Oklahoma's lakes, suggesting that there might indeed be an undiscovered species lurking in the depths. Tom's story has inspired renewed interest in exploring Oklahoma's lakes and studying their ecosystems. The legend of the Oklahoma octopus has become an integral part of local folklore, and Tom's encounter adds a new chapter to this evolving narrative. Stories like his enrich the cultural heritage of the region, providing a sense of mystery and wonder that captivates both residents and visitors. The concept of cryptids, creatures whose existence is suggested but not scientifically proven, has fascinated people for generations. Among these mysterious beings is the Oklahoma octopus, and numerous anecdotal accounts and unexplained disappearances have led some to speculate about the existence of this enigmatic creature. Over the years, numerous disappearances have been reported in Oklahoma's lakes, with some cases remaining unexplained despite thorough investigations. Individuals often vanish without a trace, and the lack of clear evidence has led to various theories, including the possibility of the Oklahoma octopus. Several notable cases have drawn attention to the potential involvement of the Oklahoma octopus. A common pattern in these disappearances is the suddenness with which they occur. Witnesses often describe the divers and swimmers being pulled underwater swiftly, without signs of struggle or distress. This abruptness has led to theories that an aggressive predator, such as the Oklahoma octopus, might be responsible. One of the main reasons for scientific skepticism is the lack of physical evidence. Despite numerous sightings and anecdotal accounts, there have been no verified photographs, biological samples, or remains of the Oklahoma octopus. Without concrete evidence, the scientific community is reluctant to accept the existence of such a creature. As of right now, the possibility that the Oklahoma octopus is behind disappearances in US lakes remains a tantalizing and controversial theory. While mainstream science dismisses the existence of such a creature due to a lack of physical evidence and biological implausibility, the numerous unexplained disappearances and anecdotal accounts keep the legend alive. Whether viewed as a cryptid or a cautionary tale, the Oklahoma octopus captivates the imagination, reflecting humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown and the mysteries that still lie hidden in our world's depths. The legend encourages exploration, conservation, and an appreciation for the rich tapestry of folklore that continues to shape our understanding of the natural world. The accounts of terrifying encounters and the eerie allure of a giant, human-attacking cephalopod living in Oklahoma's lakes contribute to a rich tapestry of local folklore, and the stories have reminded many of the giant squid tales. For centuries, tales of monstrous sea creatures attacking ships have captivated the imaginations of sailors and landlubbers alike. Among these legendary beings is the giant squid, and it holds a prominent place in our history. The legend of the giant squid dates back to ancient times. Norse mythology spoke of the kraken, a colossal sea monster that terrorized sailors off the coast of Norway and Greenland. Described as a creature with immense tentacles capable of enveloping entire ships, the kraken became a symbol of the ocean's unfathomable dangers. During the Age of Exploration, European sailors encountering unfamiliar and treacherous waters often reported sightings of monstrous sea creatures. These tales were likely influenced by real encounters with large marine animals, such as whales and squids, seen through the lens of fear and superstition. Giant squids can grow up to 13 meters, or 43 feet for females, and 10 meters, or 33 feet for males, making them one of the largest invertebrates on Earth. They possess 8 arms and 2 longer feeding tentacles, equipped with suckers lined with sharp teeth, which they use to capture prey. Their beaks are powerful enough to slice through flesh, and their eyes, the largest in the animal kingdom, allow them to see in the deep ocean's dim light. Giant squids inhabit deep oceanic waters, typically at depths between 300 and 1,000 meters. They are elusive and rarely seen alive, which has made studying them challenging. Most of what we know comes from dead specimens and rare deep-sea footage.